We're here with Scotty Barnhart, jazz trumpet player from the Count Basie Band. Scotty just played an outrageous concert for us last night here, a small group concert with about 200 people fit into our shop. And we thought we'd do this quick video interview for our website. So Scotty, can you tell us just real briefly, just give people a little bit of an overview of your career?
Okay, well, I began to play trumpet when I was about 9 years old, which is roughly 33 years ago. And I was born and raised in Atlanta, Georgia, and I grew up at Ebenezer Baptist Church, where every Sunday Dr. King Sr. would have all these choirs singing and music coming from the rafters and just incredible music. So being exposed to that every week, I just naturally got into music. And my mother, being a soprano and singing in the choirs and singing around the house, that's kind of how I got into music. And so when I got to 5th grade, they said, now you can begin to play in band, and what do you want to play? So I asked my parents for a violin. So my mother went to the store to get a violin, and I'm waiting. I remember waiting at home for her to come back with the violin, and I see her come back in the car coming down the driveway, and I'm expecting to open the case and see a violin, and she opens the trunk, and she's smiling, and and everything. She opens the case, and it was a trumpet. It wasn't a violin. I said, oh wow, okay, but the sun hit it, and it was silver, and it just like, I could still see it in my eyes today, man. And I've been a trumpet player ever since. I never looked back. And by the time I got a full scholarship to Florida A&M University, I really was seriously into jazz. And that was right around the time I met Wynton. So when I saw Wynton when I was 17 in England, I knew that being a jazz musician was what I was supposed to be doing. And so I began to, ask him questions. We stayed in touch and that kind of thing. And one thing led to another. And eventually I got the call to join the Count Basie Orchestra, which I've been there all 15 years now as a trumpet soloist. And but also my small group work began with Marcus Roberts, who was Wynton's pianist. So being on the road with him was a great learning experience, really learning what this music means and how to play and how to have respect and reverence for the musicians that created the music. So that sort of is kind of what led me into being a historian of music, and which is what led to my book that we'll talk about in a second.
Okay, yeah, I'd like to ask you about your book, but even before we get to the book, can you just give us a little bit of a thought or two on, in your mind, what defines swing?
I can give you an example of something that doesn't swing, and then something that does swing. I can play for it.
Cool, let's do.
Okay, this is a melody called I Can't Give You Anything But Love, and I'll play it with no feeling hardly, just not swinging any of that. This is just what it sounds like. But now, if I think about what the essence of jazz means, which is to swing, which is to play with a rhythmic lilt, it sounds like this. So that's a little better idea of what swing is, yeah.
It certainly is.
Okay.
What is it about small group jazz that you love?
Small group jazz, man. When you have a bass, when you're standing in the middle of a bassist, acoustic bassist, acoustic piano, and a set of drums, to stand in the middle of a group of musicians like that, no matter what you decide to play, they have you. And you can just relax and not worry about anything and just play. And know that no matter what chances you may want to take harmonically or rhythmically, the end result will be one from a group collective sound, which is what you don't get in a lot of other instances.
So is it fair to say that small group jazz is spontaneous, intimate communication?
Exactly. That's one of the best definitions I've heard. Yeah, absolutely. I tell you this, if it had not been for my small group work with Marcus Roberts on the road every night for 2 or 3 months playing constantly, I would not have been ready for the Basie Orchestra. Because by the time you get to a big band, you need to know how to play already. Because there's not enough solo space for you to sit down and work out your ideas and to work out what you think you need to sound like. So the small group setting prepared me for the big band setting. And I love both equally, because now in the big band setting, the challenge is to take something that would normally take me 10 or 12 courses to get to in a small group. I have to do that same thing in 2 courses or 1 course in the big band. So you're forced to edit your thinking a lot quicker and a lot sharper with the big band, as well as stay out of their way when they begin to accompany you, come in with the saxes and the bones and the trumpets, you want to stay out of their way even though you're improvising.
What are the common challenges that today's students that you work with face in trying to become the next generation of jazz greats?
Well, the main one, and this comes directly from Freddie Hubbard, that I've talked to about it, is that we live in basically a microwave society now in 2007. Everybody wants everything quick, fast, straight to the point, right away, without really studying and doing the homework that you need to do. So most of the students that I've worked with, and this is all over the world, not just necessarily in Florida State where I'm teaching, but they want to be able to somehow bypass the history part of what they need to learn and just want to get to a point where they can walk on a bandstand, get paid tons of dollars, and play on a level of a Miles Davis or a Wynton or a Freddie Hubbard or Louis Armstrong. And so what I have to explain to them, being a jazz musician is a lifelong process. You don't learn to do it in 5 years, you don't learn to do it in 10 years. It's a lifelong process that hopefully starts early enough so you'll have the necessary tools for a foundation to build upon. In order to really learn anything, whether it be mathematics even, you have to learn to add and subtract before you can do calculus. So if you're trying to be a jazz musician, you have to learn your instrument first, whatever you're playing, and you have to go back and learn the history of America, because without America we won't have jazz. So if you don't know about the Civil War, the Revolutionary War, World War I, World War II, things like that, the social conditions in America, you won't have an idea of why the music was created in the first place. So I just try to make them look at it as a historical journey as well as a musical one.
And that's what's so great about your book.
Well, thank you.
And can you talk just for a minute? Now, you were here just picking up a new horn.
Oh, my God. Yeah.
So just for a minute, can you talk to us about this? It's a PRANA AJNA B flat we just made for you. You hold it just like that. I'm going to zoom in on these crazy finger buttons we made for you. We do need to get you to the airport, but real quick, we're going to...
Beautiful. Thank you very much, Dave. Beautiful, man.
Oh, it's fun.
Absolutely beautiful.
Fun to make.
I can't wait to keep practicing.
Tell us about how this horn felt on the gig last night and what's up with it compared to your old AJNA before. That wasn't a PRANA.
Well, the old AJNA before, this compared to the other one, this plays a lot quicker, a lot faster, and it allows me to really, really put a lot more power behind it, even more than I used to put behind it when I have to. So that's why when I used to plunger last night, it was just, I was in heaven because I could play real loud and full, and then right behind that I play a real soft phrase and the notes will still speak. Just as evenly and cleanly as I would like for them to speak. And then I would do an up-tempo thing or burnout type of a thing or, like Wynton style, a little bit of that. And it just responded. But I just can't wait to get home and keep practicing and get to know it better. So the next time I come back, I'll be even better, hopefully.
Great. Scotty, thank you.
Thank you, man. Thanks, Dave. Appreciate it, man. Absolutely.